has been appointed to represent somebody by the county. I'm not sure what makes somebody a county employee, but Mr. Angler, Mr. Chappelle both do a significant amount of work for the county. They get paid by the county to represent people. I do as well. I have for many years. Gallo, I mean, everybody in here has done work for the county. They have been asked by the courts and by you to represent people that can't afford counsel. And we do it. We don't make a lot of money doing it. Sometimes we make no money doing it. But we do it because we're asked to do it, because that's the service that we give. That's the oath that we took.
Sometimes I get into this building 4 or 5 times a day. Depending on the hearing, I may be here till 6:30 or 7:30 at night. If I don't have successive conferences, for example, I had one this morning at 8:30, 9:30, I have another at 10:30, I will walk back to my office and I will come back in and go through the entire process. When I took my oath of office, I was sworn in as an officer of the court. I am a part of the court system. I am the court. But we go through the same thing every time that we come in, and I try to get here 20 minutes early, and I'm only 3 minutes away if I walk through Dick Block's backyard. And I try to get here 20 minutes early so that I'm in enough time to convene either my hearing or my conferences. When I walk up to the front door, sometimes my heart sinks when I see the number of people that are there, and that may be my second or third time through. Attorney Burkett does the same thing. Attorney Hess obviously has the same problem. So as officers of the court, depending, and many of us, just like the court-appointed criminal defense attorneys, come and go all day long, and we continuously go through the system.
Attorney Wise?
I just want to boil this down to its essence. Whether you want to call it a privilege, whether you want to call it an exception, I think we have to keep an eye on form versus substance. The form says we don't grant those. Every Joe has to go through the same process, and you're no different, lawyers. We're focusing on the substance of it. And the reality is that we're known individuals who have passed or will have passed security clearances, and we are officers of the court. And I would respectfully hope that you guys consider the very essence of what we're asking. We're not trying to be better than anybody, but from a rational, realistic standpoint, we're here frequently. And, you know, if I have to spend 10 minutes in line while Pat's waiting for me for an 8:30 conference, guess who gets billed for that? I mean, now I'm not going to do that, but I bet a lot of people do. That's clients' money. I'm standing in line spending my clients' money because I can't just breeze through it. So
I would like to address Mr. Fuller's comments before, and I'm not speaking for the rest of the people in this room, but I think that the security needs to be removed altogether. I think this is a public building, and we have as much right to walk through this building as we do walking down a public sidewalk. I understand that's not going to happen, and I understand people here don't agree with me on that, but that's my feelings on security. Secondly, the security that the county does have, the unfortunate part is you've done it on the cheap. And you go to other counties, you go through an X-ray machine, and there are uniformed sheriffs standing there, letting you in or keeping you out. Here we have these elderly people who sit there and they paw through women's purses, pulling stuff out of women's. I've seen the contents of more women's purses since coming to this county than I can remember. All kinds of private stuff being pulled out of purses and looked around into things that are none of the county's business. If you want to put things through an X-ray machine and look through metallic objects, that's one thing. But to have people pawing through people's purses and through briefcases and things into private things, I think is not permissible. It shouldn't be permissible. So I think if you're going to do it, first of all, spend the money to do it the way it should be done. But I don't think it should be done at all. As far as attorneys and the employees here, I think you're making an artificial distinction. Whenever you hear in the news or in anecdotal accounts of people coming in with guns and shooting people, 95% of the time it's an employee. It's not generally somebody who comes into a workplace off the street and starts shooting people. It's generally a disgruntled employee in the vast majority of cases. So if you're going to have no cards, then you should have no cards for everybody, employees and lawyers and general public all together. Or you should, if you're going to make distinctions, then I don't see a distinction between attorneys and employees who work here on a regular basis.
There are 3 articles here, and I'm sure there's more, where attorneys brought guns into courthouses, so it's not unheard of.
I'm in this building multiple times a week, like Attorney Angler and Attorney Anderson. I do criminal conflict work. I can cite you 4 specific days a month where it's not uncommon for that line to go out the door onto the street. That's criminal jury selection, civil jury selection, call to the list, and any given miscellaneous court Wednesday morning. You can get here at 8:15 for an 8:30 hearing and not make it to the hearing on time. As far as attorneys taking guns into the courthouse, I was a county employee for a while as an assistant DA. To my knowledge, all the county employees, all the city employees don't have to undergo criminal background checks, do they? So the odds of an employee bringing a weapon into this building is far greater than the odds of an attorney bringing a weapon into the building. And the notion that somebody would plop a weapon in an attorney's bag or backpack is ludicrous. That's just
I have a question. Do you think some of that could be resolved by scheduling, by not doing everything all at one time?
well, for jury selection, all
Well,
the jurors.
Any of the items you mentioned, I think you could probably, through scheduling, alleviate at least part, if not all, of that problem.
Well,
Yeah, I am here for election, but I'm really here in support of what the attorneys are requesting as well.
Go ahead, Jonathan. I think what we ought to do here, we do have a security committee that recommends to the commissioners. I'm going to suggest that we have a meeting of the security committee and see what their thoughts are, their